Welcome to the Life You Love podcast.
We're your hosts, Grace Lemire
and Erin Convertini.
This podcast is for the dreamers and the doers.
For the women who want to create a life they genuinely love waking up to.
We believe that life's short, so let's build one we love. Q3 is officially in full swing, which means we're more than halfway through 2025. If you're feeling like you've drifted from the goals you set back in January, Q3 is a great time to check in with yourself and reset. Unlike in December, you still have plenty of time to course correct and make changes that can help you end the year having accomplished the goals you set out to. In today's episode, we're sharing our own Q3 goals and how we're realigning for the rest of the year.
I remember our Q2 goals episode was super popular, and that was a really good one, so go back and listen to that if you haven't already. But this is a quarter that I definitely did not do a big official reset. I feel like I usually take some time to go into my Notion planner, and I have a whole quarterly goals section in there, and I really take time to look at the progress that I made in Q2 and think about what I want to do in Q3. And really the only reason, if I'm being totally transparent, that I did a little reset is for this episode because we had to film today. So I'm feeling a little bit behind. And I feel like that's kind of the theme of this episode is just we're doing the best that we can. And we're resetting in our own ways, but we're definitely not coming at this from oh my gosh, we have our entire life together and we're all reset and ready to go for Q3. So I'm excited to have this episode and just kind of talk through some of the things that we're working on and how Q2 went and some of the goals that we set for the upcoming quarter. But with that, I think one thing to know on my end is this is the first quarter in a really long time that I'm totally just not focused on career at all. And that's not a priority in my life whatsoever over the next 3 months. Just kind of wild to say because I feel since probably 2022 when I started doing all of the social media stuff and dipping my toes into content creation and self-employment, that's been such a big focus area in my life. And I loved it that way. And I kind of saw it being that way for the foreseeable future. But I don't know, maybe it's just with summer and I'm just trying to enjoy everything, but it's really not a focus for me. I'm kind of trying to just nurture what I've built and not feel the need to grow and accept the fact that I don't have one singular goal or ambition at this point in my life.
I feel like when you prioritize it so much, it's it's great in a sense, right? In Q2, I did the whole 12-week year and was so focused on same thing, being so posting every day and grow. And then I feel like if you're just too doubled down, that's not a word, doubled down on it, it's just, I think at some point you have to take a break from it. You know what I mean? Not a break from your whole job, but just taking a breather from it being such a focus area of seasons of going hard at something, And I think especially with entrepreneurship, I think if you're just grow, it's easy to get in your head. Plus, I feel once you have an audience too, nurturing what you have, like you said, is a better approach,
Yeah, and not even
Give
just
yourself
on
a
the
break.
content creation perspective, but I'm not taking on any freelance clients right now. And I know this is really the first time in probably 3 years that I have not had one singular freelance client, which feels weird, but also it's I 3 years ago would have loved to be able to get to this point. So I'm trying to just enjoy it. I'm not really focused on consistently putting out YouTube videos right now. We're obviously still doing the podcast, showing up consistently here every single week. And I love that. And we're going to continue doing that. But yeah, just trying to do what feels good and not make it the biggest priority in your life. Because I've been thinking a lot lately about thinking back to when I still worked in corporate and I was very good at my job. I always got good performance reviews. I got promoted while I was there in the year and a half that I was there, but I never worked more than 4 hours a day. And this definitely has to do with working from home. But I think even if you work in the office, a lot of your day is probably spent hanging out with your coworkers, if I'm being totally honest. I never worked more than 4 hours a day. The amount of work that you actually have to do in a corporate job for most people is not that much work. But I think when you flip over to being self-employed, you put so much pressure on yourself to be working 24/7 and working on the weekends and just doing things all the time and feeling guilty if you're not doing something. I'm just trying to take it easy for a little bit.
Yeah, I feel this goes into one of my focus areas for Q3. Mine are career, health, and faith, and I'll obviously break them all down. But I think with career has been a focus for me for a while. But this quarter, instead of grow, I'm focused on finding more balance in my career because I've thought a lot about in the last couple months, just like, why did I start a business to begin with? I started a business 4 years ago because I wanted more freedom and flexibility in my life. I wanted the ability to be like, okay, I'm going to go work in a coffee shop today because I want to, or I'm going to go take the weekend off because I want to and I can, or if I don't want to work today and I want to go to the beach, cool, then I can work a Saturday instead. Like I can work take my laptop somewhere and say I'm going to go away for a month and go work there. And I don't know, I've just not that I got away from that, but just that I think I lost sight of the goal of balance because you can't really get to a point of balance, I feel like, until after you've had a season of working really hard. Like typically it's
Totally agree.
a period of imbalance, then a period of imbalance. And you're kind of like, yeah, you have to work to get to that point. You don't just like get a business overnight that like allows you to, take more time off or travel or whatever. And I think in Q2, just especially the last, like the end of Q2, because I was in kind of like a grow mode in Q2, I realized how much I'm craving balance in this season of life. And it's funny because I don't work like the typical hours that I think, like it's not like I have to clock in at 8 a.m. and I don't get to clock out until 5. And, it's not as like rigid. Like I remember when I worked at a daycare and I was in for full-time hours and it was like, you take your break at this time and like you can't clock out till then. And oh, hey, Grace, can you stay late? Cause we have extra kids. We need someone to watch, whatever. It's not, I obviously don't have a rigid job like that, but I still probably work 40 to 50 hours a week because I work on the weekends and I am like working at night. Like we were just talking before we got on here. Like I walk in my apartment last night after getting home from pickleball at like 10:30 and I open my email. Why am I opening my email at 10:30? Nobody needs me at that hour. And I should not be doing that. But it's like, it's just, there's so much, even when I'm not necessarily like doing, like I'm not like creating a video or working on client work, I'm checking my email and I'm thinking about all of it all the time. And it's just not sustainable and it's not the season that I want to be in. And yeah, I don't know. So I think for Q3, well, I guess also in Q2, I just realized how much my health like impacts my day to day, and also learning that and just coming to terms with the fact. And I feel like we'll talk about this too when I get to like my health section of this, but if anyone listening also has like chronic health issues, you understand that at some point you have to come to terms with the fact that your day to day and what you can expect from yourself and your body physically is not going to be the same as someone who doesn't have chronic health issues. And we're still in the grieving stage of that at this point, but I think I've come to terms with that a lot more. And so I'm starting to realize, okay, when it comes to my career, the way that I go about it and the balance that I need is going to look different than other people. And I have to like learn to accept that. And so for Q3, I'm trying to accept that and actually implementing more balance in a way to protect my health. So part of my like goal for that area in Q3 is just to not work on weekends really at all, other than just like posting a video that I already have prepped. And if I don't have a video prepped, like if I have a spur of the moment thought I want to share, fine. But if I don't have a video prepped, like not forcing myself to sit there for 2 hours and edit a video. And I also don't want to be at things after work or on the weekends, but thinking about work. And so, because that's just like become such a thing for me. Like yeah, and it's just not fun and healthy. And so I'm also trying to learn to release control in my business a little bit on the outcome. Just being like, you know what, we're just gonna give that to God and be like, you can let that unfold the way that it needs to, but I know I need balance. So I'm also in a season where I'm not prioritizing, like, it's like I'm prioritizing career growth, but from a lens of balance. Like, if it's
Yeah.
not going to give me more time back and create more balance, I'm not doing it. I'm not grinding in Q3.
Yeah,
I'm not.
the balance is such a good way to put it, and especially what you said about the mental load of like if anyone listening to this is interested in anything entrepreneurial, they're trying to start their social media channel, they're trying to start a business, they're taking on freelance clients. It's not like you said the amount of time that you're spending in front of the computer, it's the mental load of like you're thinking about it 24/7, and that's something that I'm really trying to find balance with too in Q3, like, not thinking about it when I don't need to be thinking about it and just letting myself like enjoy certain things about life for the fun of it. For example, I just drove for 10 hours a couple days ago back to Nashville from Pittsburgh. So I was in the car all day. And every other time I've done that drive, I would be like listening to podcasts or YouTube videos from like content coaches or like business owners or like just learning things related to what I do for work. And this time I listened to a bunch of different podcast episodes on like random topics. A lot of them were about like health and wellness because that's a big focus area for me in Q3. I like want to get testing done. I want to like do all of these things. So I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, like just things that I'm genuinely interested in that have no ties to how I make money in this world. So I'm just trying to like enjoy that more. Grace and I were also talking before we got on here about how we like can't scroll on social media without thinking about it from a business lens. Like I can't remember the last time that I've scrolled on TikTok genuinely just for enjoyment and not for like the purpose of saving video ideas, or I can't remember the last time that I watched a YouTube video just for the sole purpose of like watching a vlog for the fun of it and not trying to learn something from it. So that's definitely my goal, is to just spend more mental energy on other things, reading books that I'm interested in that have no ties to how I make money and things like that for Q3.
I think like there's this, it's a trap. Not, I won't say trap because I don't think that's like the right word. And I think that has like a negative connotation, but I think you want to obviously like be better at what you're doing, and there's a desire to grow and like, help more people and, just think more creatively and whatever. But I've realized sometimes the more information I consume about it or the more things I absorb, the worse I am at it. Like I've just been overwhelmed with a lot of things, and so I feel like I'm not thinking creatively about my career and my content and my clients' content. So then it's like, okay, does listening to a podcast about it help? No. You need to take a break, like take a second. And I think with ambitious, like people who are very ambitious in their career, it's sometimes there's a desire to like always get better, better, better at your career and absorb as much information and take this person's course and that person's program and listen to these podcasts and read these books and all these things. And it's like, at what point do you just not, even just like too, like with you're talking about scrolling. I was saying to Erin before we got on here, sometimes I wish I had a flip phone. I had a flip phone and my iPhone was my work phone. And like, I would just like, if you need me, call me. Otherwise, don't contact me. I don't want my social media on my phone. Like, I genuinely think that would be marvelous to not have to worry about it. And so one thing too, I want to do more in Q3 is just like, I feel like as a woman, if you're like walking alone or whatever in your city, you shouldn't like leave your phone behind entirely just for safety reasons. But like turning my phone like off a lot, just
Or
like
like put it in your purse.
put it in my bag, like get it out of my hand. I used to be so good about this actually. Back when I lived in Massachusetts, I downloaded this is like unrelated but sort of related. I read books on through the Libby app, which is like through like libraries. I can get ebooks on there. And I downloaded the Libby app to my phone. So anytime I felt the desire to like pick my phone up and scroll, so like literally even if I was like, I remember being in line at a grocery store, there was like super long lines. I was in line for literally like 20 minutes and I just read my book on my phone instead of scrolling. I would love to replace that with just like being physically present in the world, talking to a stranger, you know what I mean? Like just not being on my phone. But it was a good, like, it became my default. Or if I was at home and I just was like bored, I would go pick up like the book instead of going on social media. And I was mentally well at that time of my life. Like I was so good. But just trying to be more present. I saw a thing the other day, this video of this girl. She said, like that trend that's going around that's like, oh, you look happier. And it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like whatever. She was like, yeah, um I finally trained my nervous system to not always be desiring more or something. And I was like, oh freak. I was like, she's probably so, like I was like, dang, because
Oh, that's a
when
good
you
one.
right. And then I was just like, I saw another one that was about just being like more in the moment, which I think kind of goes back to what you were saying. There's so much pressure too, I feel like, as a content creator to be capturing everything. And it's like, can I just live something for like the moment? Or even like when I'm watching TV. Why do I need my phone next to me? Why am I picking up my phone on the commercial breaks? Watch a commercial, babe. Put the phone down, you know? Like it just cuz it
Yeah,
all
or like
goes,
go clean something
go
or
clean
yeah.
something or get up and do a couple squats or whatever, you know what I mean? Like get some fire glutes by the end of this episode of Love Island. Like I don't know, like
Mhm.
I think it all, especially because our jobs are so connected to our phones, and I think for a lot of people they are, you know, in today's day and age, but
Well, I
just
think
like
a lot of
learning
people
to
just
be
like
more present.
have the same, yeah, they have the same problem of like they're
Yeah.
addicted to their phones just like we are. Like whether or not you do any quote unquote work on your
Yeah.
phone, like 90% of people are addicted to their phones.
It's just being more present, I think will help too with some of the career overwhelm that I feel, because I think when I'm on the phone a lot,
Yeah, the book
it's no
tip is
bueno.
really good. I know on my end, because like I said, health and wellness is a big priority for me in Q3. I feel like I always try to have generally healthy habits, but I've not been prioritizing it as much as I want to moving forward. Like I haven't been meal prepping. I eat at home, but since I don't meal prep, I've caught myself like just randomly snacking all day and not doing like 3 full meals. I'm not getting like that diversity because I'm not meal prepping and being intentional about what I'm putting into my body. I feel like my workouts like haven't been like I used to love going to the gym and spending like an hour to an hour and 30 minutes in the gym between like strength training and walking, and I've just caught myself like not loving it as much as I used to, and I'm starting to get back into that. So I really want to make health and just like overall holistic wellness my priority. But part of that outside of like the exercise and the nutrition aspect is just generally having fun and not stressing about things, because stress is such a big part of your overall health. And so, yeah, just like living your life more and going out and doing things. I admittedly, and I've definitely mentioned this in a couple of podcast episodes, but I admittedly got like addicted to watching TV in Q2, which is
I
so unlike me because I
was
like
gonna
before
say,
that
yeah.
literally would never turn my TV on.
You
But
didn't
I
even own a
think
TV until like a couple
no, for
months
the
ago.
longest time I had no TV. I don't know where it came from, but I like literally got addicted. It started with Love Island. Love Island was the culprit. I got addicted to it. I watched like 3 seasons of Love Island in Q2, and then I started watching some other TV show, and I just caught myself like at 4 p.m., 4 in the afternoon, I'd be like, well, I don't want to work anymore. Like, let's go lay on the couch and watch TV. Like, that's so bad. Get out of your house and do something. And I would like shut all of the blinds and turn all of the lights off, and it would be like dark in my apartment.
A little cave at
I'm
4
not
p.m.
kidding. I'm really exposing myself here. But that's my goal in Q3 is to stop watching TV, get out of my house more, just like go live my life and like actually have some fun and like not stress about how much money I'm making or what I'm doing in my career or like if I'm ambitious enough, because like I don't care right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because I feel like we have some very similar focus areas here for Q3, and they're similar and different in certain ways, but like health is also a focus for me. And I feel like I want to think about how exactly I say this, but I feel like I've talked about it more so on the podcast than my own social media, because the podcast feels like a little safe space. As we're
Yes.
like, something about
These are
social
our
media,
friends. If you're
yeah,
still
you guys are
listening
all
18 minutes,
my friends. Right. Yeah. Like I feel like it's just a more, you can be more vulnerable in this kind of space. But I feel like I've talked about having chronic health issues before, but they took a little bit of a little dippity dip in Q2 and got, I feel like, worse. And I have gotten some clarity, but not like, I still do not have all the answers, and I am still navigating, figuring out what all of it is. And it's definitely taking a hit on me. Cried for 30 minutes to Erin before we got on here. So it's just, I think like I want to be like real about it, but I also like want to be careful with like what I'm sharing as I kind of navigate how much I want to share. But I don't want to like not, I don't want to ever make my life seem like it's just 100% perfect and there's like nothing happening. But I'm continuing to prioritize health because I kind of have to, but also like prioritizing health from the angle of more self care, more balance. That's part of why I want to prioritize more balance in my career, but also trying to figure out what works for me in terms of health. Like that's been a big puzzle without getting into all of it. I mean, I guess like if anyone on here has MCAS or is navigating a diagnosis with MCAS or has in the past, DM me on Instagram, because I actually don't know anyone going through the same thing, and like would love opinions and support and advice on how to figure that out. But so there's certain things that seem quote unquote healthy but actually make my health situation worse. And so it's very much like a puzzle trying to figure out, you know, what I can and can't do and what makes me actually feel better versus what actually makes me feel worse, even though they're like healthy decisions. And figuring out like, you know, I need to prioritize my sleep more than the average person. And my diet is like really funky because certain things that are very healthy foods actually make my situation a lot worse. And, you know, how am I participating in certain things that I want to do, like going to a workout class with my friends, while also understanding that certain types of exercise actually make my symptoms worse. So it's just like a lot of, it's a puzzle. And I want to focus more on that, I guess, in Q3 and on trying to like figure out that puzzle and just kind of like, yeah, feeling good about that. I also just like generally, aside from that side of the health stuff, like want to get stronger. I go to Legree a couple times a week, which is kind of like a, it's kind of like Pilates, but if you say it's Pilates, the classical reformer Pilates girlies get very upset. So I
Yeah, that's
always am
like
like,
solid
Legree.
core. They get so mad.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, take a deep breath. It was never that serious, but Legree is, I genuinely love it. It's like, it's such a good challenge. It's like a good mental challenge, a physical challenge, and it's made me a lot stronger, like physically. And I want to just, if I can, get back into strength training. I need to see again like what that looks like health wise, and if it makes my symptoms worse then I won't be able to do it. But I want to be stronger just because I feel like when I go to Legree consistently and I see like my shoulders or something, or I like take a video, like I was taking a video in my apartment of like my night routine, and I caught a little glimpse in the video of my back muscles and was like, oh, okay. So I want to like lean more into that. And also just like taking care of, I feel like, I know this is like on your list, like something similar, but after moving, I like was going to all sorts of doctor's appointments for the chronic health issues that I have, that I actually forgot about like routine doctors. I was like, oh my gosh, when was the last, I haven't gone to the dentist since
Oh
before
my
I
gosh, wait.
moved. I was
I
like,
was literally going to say the
what?
same thing. I haven't been to the dentist and it's been over a year, which is really sad to
Yeah,
admit. But
I
when I
was
moved, I
like,
didn't find a new dentist.
yeah,
And
I
now
just
I'm like
didn't.
trying to get an ASAP.
I know I didn't do it. And then I was like, the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, I just completely forgot when I moved to find a new dentist. And then I had my contacts on and I was like, kind of like squinting a little bit. And I was like, oh Lord, have mercy. You need to get to the eye doctor, sister. And I'm noticing like my astigmatism's getting worse. And I've been like putting it off. And I'm like, I just need to book the doctor's appointment and just go. So that's like another part of like the health thing. And also just like, I feel like one side of this that people don't talk about a lot, and again, I want to talk about this more on my social media because I think I heard tangent. Y'all's gonna have to get down with the tangents in this episode because obviously it's a little chaotic today. It's okay. But um there was a quote that I heard in the fall that basically said like you never know what within you like shakes the devil off someone else. And even if you're not religious, like you can kind of take that of like you never know what about you or your story like frees somebody else or like unlocks some sort of learning for them or whatever. And I think about all the people who have been brave enough to share their stories on social media that have helped me, whether it was about physical health, mental health, finances, career, like whatever it is. And so I do want to share aspects of it. I think it will be really helpful to people, especially because I feel like I don't know why, but people tend to think I have like it very much together, like that I have everything in my life like figured out because I get DMs from people who are like, "How do you have it all girl, I
Yeah,
don't have it all
same.
together."
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think anyone does. And so I think one side of this with like health in Q3 is just thinking about the investments in health because I've been open about sharing that I've probably spent about 10 to 15 grand on my health so far this year. I'm debating doing a surgery that would cost 13 grand and genetic testing that would cost 1100, and like it all adds up and it's such a mind game of like do you spend the money or do you not? And so I think in Q3 I just want to like be more intentional about investing in those areas and genuinely taking my health like not that I haven't been taking it seriously because I've very much been taking it very very seriously this year, but just like being okay with that and just being like, yeah, that is my situation that like other 26-year-olds might be able to spend their money in different ways that are objectively more fun, but like your girl
Yeah.
needs genetic testing, so we're gonna have to do it, you know what I mean? And just like allowing myself to do that, but also allowing myself to spend on things that are like if I want to go to a different workout class like that works better for my body, spending the money on that, or foods that make my body feel good, or the supplements, or and just doing all of it guilt free. and honoring like what my body needs. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
first of all, you're a rock star because I feel like if I was in your situation, I would be like, my Q3 goals are literally to just sleep. And like that's my goal is to sleep for 90 days straight. So let's just talk
I
about
would
that for
love
a
that.
second.
But unfortunately, I have bills to pay.
But it's also so funny because Grace and I like did this outline separately. Like we obviously did our own little like reset and thought through our goals, and then we are talking through them in this episode. And we're always so similar in like what we're focused on and stuff. Like I also the other part of my outside of health and wellness, my literal only other goal for Q3, and part of the reason why I have very minimal things that I want to focus on in Q3 is because all of Q3 is going to be comprised of me moving and waiting for my house to be done. So I'm actually moving out of Nashville in 2 weeks, and my house isn't going to be done until the end of September. So, literally, the end of Q3. And all of that time, I'm going to be living at my boyfriend's in his like small little 1 bedroom apartment. And it's so funny because it's such a boy apartment. I'm moving from like my pink, girly Nashville apartment into his like gray, bare for 2 months. So, not being in my, like, I'm not even going to have a desk. Like, not being in my space, it's going to be there's not much that I can focus on like career wise or whatever it may be, but I just want to focus on like tying up some loose ends on the organization side outside of health and wellness being my only one true goal. Like I need to book all of my appointments when I get back. I need to switch my address over to my house. I need to open up a trust apparently because if I buy a house
Yes.
and I don't have a trust, then people can look up my address
Yes.
apparently. So I got to do that. Like taxes, my freaking accountant still isn't done with our taxes for this year. Like there's a lot of loose ends that I need to tie
Mm-hmm.
up. But outside of that, health and wellness, like really is my one true goal. And obviously, I'm not dealing with the same things that you're dealing with, Grace, but investing in my health is just becoming more of a priority and like investing in that kind of holistically. I'm like when I move into my house, I want to invest in a really good like air purifier system and then also a good water filter system because your air and your water are like the two biggest components of what goes into your body, which is like so crazy to think about. I've also been, I was talking about in a video the other day how I'm upping my grocery budget because I'm trying to buy like all organic, just learning more about where food comes from and what happens when it's not organic just starts to freak you out a little bit. So I'm trying to buy all organic and just care more about what goes into my body and making sure I'm making the best decisions for me. I want to get like lab work testing. There's this company that I want to work with called Function Health, and they do like a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of lab tests and give you a bunch of
I,
biomarkers and
I
stuff. And
did blood
I
work with them. Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They test like over 100 biomarkers. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't had blood work done in a really long time, which is really bad also. But so we're gonna tie
I
up
feel
these
like
loose ends.
Honestly, I feel like for the normal person, you don't like people don't do blood work like a crazy amount, you know? But it is interesting to see like some of it, you know, and just see like where like certain things that could make you feel better or whatever. But the
Yeah.
loose end thing, that I need to get back into one like little tactical tip for people is I used to have this, it was a Notion template, but you could easily do it with like just a notes app on your phone. But I had this thing I called my lingering to-do list, and anytime a task would like pop up like that, where I was like, oh, frick, I need to do this. Like it could literally be one of them was like, I have all the old parking stickers, like, you know, when you get like when I worked at the daycare when I was literally like 19, I have like the sticker that said like I was a teacher there and I could park in the parking lot still stuck to my car. My brother, like his sticker from his college is still on the car. My brother is turning 30 this year. So like it's still there. And it was literally one of those tasks where I was like, ugh, I should get this off the windshield. I would literally put it onto this Notion template, and then there were these little tags I could attach to it that would say like the time commitment. So like is it less than 15 minutes, 15 to 30, 30 minutes to an hour, or an hour or more? And I it was so helpful because when they would come up, I had a system for where to like track them. And then when I had a spare time, like if I was having a day where I'm super motivated and it's like it's my ovulation or something, or like day one of my period when I'm like super motivated and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get everything done. I would go to that lingering to-do list and I'd be like, okay, I have an hour. Let me knock off four of these like 15-minute tasks. And it was so nice. I felt a lot more like in control of all those lingering things, but I kind of just like got away from it, to be honest. I don't really know why, but I should definitely like implement that again because it's just helpful to have a source of truth for the lingering things rather than like trying to keep track of them in your brain. Or I used to write them down on sticky notes, and then I would have sticky notes everywhere, and then I was like, okay, well now I have 27,000 sticky notes and they're all scattered around my apartment. What was the point? What was the reason for that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been helpful.
I used to do that as well. I have like a little spot in my Notion template, and frankly, I just like for the last probably 2 months, I've just been bad about keeping them there, which is so
Yeah.
annoying of me because there's literally a Notion app on my phone. It takes 2 seconds to pull up. But one thing that is even worse than me not going to the dentist for the last year is that my oil change, I did do this. I did this last week. My oil change, I think that I'm pretty responsible in a lot of areas, but my car is like generally not one of them, if I'm being totally honest. And I know it's going to cost me a lot of money over the course of my life. One day I will have a husband that will take care of these things for me. I understand this. But my oil change, the little sticker on it, I was always under the impression that that sticker is when you got your oil changed, like the mileage on the little sticker that they like, you get your oil changed and they put a sticker on your car and it has mileage on it. I was under the impression that that mileage is when you got your oil changed. So, for example, mine said 41,000 miles. I was like, oh, I got my oil changed at 41,000 miles.
Wait, but your
But
car, if you look down, your car wouldn't have 41,000 miles on it,
well,
right?
no, yes, it was at 47,000. But in my head, that's 6,000 miles. So I'm like, oh, like I'm only 1,000 miles over. Like it's fine. Turns out that number is the mileage that you need your oil changed. So I got my oil changed at like 36 or 37,000 miles, not 41,000 miles. So I actually went like 10,000 miles without getting my oil changed.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, what math were you doing there, girl?
What math were you doing? Yeah. I was like, I
Did
pulled up
your
to the Valvoline and the guy was like, you're a little behind on this. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
if it makes you feel any better, I was driving home from one of my friends just bought like a home out in the suburbs, like 40 minutes outside of the city. And I went to visit her. And mind you, I thought this was going to be suburbs. It is like the sticks. It's like farmland. Okay. And it's beautiful because she loves horses. So it's great for her, right? Like cute little cows everywhere, but it's farmland. So I drive in the city where there's like street lights literally everywhere. I'm driving home and I'm thinking I like 5 minutes away from her place and I'm on this like back road where it's like dark and I'm like, it's pretty dark out here, but I'm thinking we're just out in the country, like whatever. This car starts to come by me. He starts flashing me with his like high beams. And it's a joke back in Massachusetts because there's potholes everywhere in Massachusetts. When a car like goes over a pothole, sometimes it looks like they're flashing you with their high beams, but it's not. But then I'm like, this is a smooth road. There's no potholes. So I'm like, he must actually be flashing me. And I'm like, it does look dark. So I'm like, this is weird. So like I pull over. Not one, but both of my headlights were completely burnt
Your
out.
headlights?
My headlights on my car.
So you were just driving in the dark.
I had the like running lights on that are like on the side. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how long? Because for not one, but both of them to be
Yeah.
out, they've had to be out for God only knows how long. And I haven't noticed. And so I had to
Well,
drive.
yeah, you live in the city. You don't
35
drive much.
But I drive at night all the time when I go home from pickleball and stuff. It's just like the roads are well lit, but I'm like, I could have gotten pulled over. But also, how long? When did the first one go out? And then when did the second one go out? Because it was just darkness in the suburbs. So then I literally drove home with my high beams on the highway and I just had to pray that I wasn't blinding anybody because I was like, am I going to watch this be like the one time in my life I get pulled over?
Yeah.
And he's like, ma'am, why are you driving with your headlights off? And I had to go to the whatchamacallit, I went to Advanced Auto Parts and bought some headlights. And bless him, the worker, he was so nice. He knew that I was clueless. He was like, I was like, I just need help figuring out which headlights I need because I don't even know which bulbs I need or whatever. And he comes
Yeah,
out to
how
my
would
car.
you?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. He pops the hood open and he's like, oh, you can, he's like, are you going to change them yourself? And I said, no, I'm going to take it to a mechanic down the street. And he looks at the headlights and I have the type of headlights that you can easily pop them out, which like I didn't know. And he was like, no, he goes, your hands are small enough to get in there. He was like, you can pop it out. He's like, I'll show you how to do it. So literally shows me how to take the headlight out. Bless him. I wish I got his name so I could like put in a good word. But like he was so nice. So then I changed my headlights. But yeah, Lord only knows how long they were out for before I
Yes.
noticed. So
All of this is confirming why I bought a townhouse instead of a single family home. Someone asked me that on TikTok the other day, and I was like, I am independent enough to buy a house, but I am not independent enough to manage the responsibility of being a homeowner by myself because there's so many things that go with like owning a whole house. At least with a townhouse, you kind of like don't own the outside of it. Like they have to do all of that. So yeah, no single family houses for me.
yeah, I know. It is a lot of responsibility, honestly. And I need to take good care of my car because I have absolutely no intention of buying a car. Like I'm saving for one, but I'm going to keep that car. Like I always say, you will hear a gigantic screech of a car coming down the road, and it will be me, and it'll be me dragging my bumper because I'll put duct tape on that bumper before I like,
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah,
No,
no,
I'm the same way.
no.
And that brings us to kind of like bring us back to our little Q3 reset because we are wrapping up here in a few minutes. But one little like random miscellaneous thing that I'm definitely doing this quarter is like realigning my savings priorities. You just reminded me when you said you are saving for a car. That is one thing that I'm not saving for. And I mean, my car only has 45,000 miles on it. So like it should last me
It
as long
should
as I
last you.
remembered, as long as I remember to get my oil changed next time. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it should last me a while. But yeah, just like really thinking through like what I need money for in the next couple of years. For example, I'm obviously in a committed relationship, like we're not engaged right now, but like that's the plan eventually, is to take that next step. And like where the heck am I going to get money for a wedding if I don't start saving for it? So like just, and
Mm-hmm.
I want like a very very small wedding. Like
Yeah.
I'm not planning a once and dollar 200-person wedding. There's like literally no way. But still, like having even a very small micro wedding with like under 50 people still costs money. And I'm going to need money for that. So I really need to realign all of my savings priorities this quarter.
Yeah. To wrap up my final focus area reset things, my third focus area is faith. And I've talked about this a little bit too. Again, it's like I want to share these things about my life, but also I'm not trying to be a Christian influencer. Like, I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
like, and I'm new to this, not true to this. So I'm not going to sit here and like try to educate people, but I do, it is like a part of my life, and I'm not going to like hide that. But I've talked about this a little bit before, but like on my social media, but I'm just making it a lot more of a priority to grow deeper in my faith and prioritizing time focused on that and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone and going to more of the faith-based events. I think it's one of the reasons I was like called here to St. Pete, because talked about it in previous episodes of just like all the signs and things that I got about moving here. And I think that's part of the reason why I got signs about moving here. And so I think like just having a really strong like community around me, faith-based community, has been really helpful in everything that I've been dealing with this year. So I want to focus more on that, but then also just like other reset things too. I want to finish my apartment. It's crazy because I moved in here almost 6 months ago, and like I'm literally
That always happens.
I'm just getting a rug, guys. Like my living room is just like my couch, like floating in the abyss. And it's funny because I don't really spend a lot of time in my living room because I'm always out and about doing stuff. But just like, yeah, getting a rug and like finishing that space and just like I guess kind of fully settling in, but then also too, I want to kind of just I could think a theme going through like all the different categories here is just like balance and also just like more joy and finding more joy. And so I kind of want to just like I've done this like multiple times, but like hopefully this will be the last time, but I want to like go through my closet again and just like I've been having more fun with clothes recently, which is connected to all of my health stuff and whatever, like how much you can enjoy fashion when you're body's changing all the time, and I want to just like make that more of a joyful thing rather than something that's like a okay, like we're not feeling well today, we're just gonna like throw on some baggy clothes. Like how can we wear something that still feels really good and like feel confident? Or when my hair's falling out, like how are we styling the hair to still feel good, you know? Like just stuff like that. I want to bring more joy into all of it, and I want that to just be like a theme for Q3. It's just like balance and joy overall.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And on the faith thing, I relate to that because it's something that I'm trying to prioritize more as well. I've been going to my boyfriend's church with him, and I grew up Catholic. I feel like I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I grew up Catholic and I've always gone to a Catholic church, but he goes to a non-denominational Christian church, and I feel like non-denominational services are education based and almost more like a Bible study, and you like learn a lot more. And it's a little bit uncomfortable to like admit that you don't have that like religious education. I obviously didn't go to like a Christian school or a Catholic school
Mm-hmm.
growing up. So like I kind of don't have a lot of like religious education, and even going to I've probably only been to his church like 10 times maybe tops in the last year. And you learn so much every time, and I'm trying to learn more about it and make it more of a priority because I don't have that education and I want it. Like I love going to his church. Like the pastors are so good. But yeah, it's just kind of like uncomfortable to admit that you like really don't know much about it. We could do an entire episode on this, like
I was
how we're
gonna
learning, like
say,
what we're like, yeah, focused on and all of that,
yeah.
because it's also one of those things like I don't think that I ever will necessarily talk about it on social media like significantly, just because I feel like it's very like personal to me, and it's like kind of one of those areas of my life that I like want to keep personal, especially because I don't talk, and like I feel like the podcast, similarly to you, it's a safe space. We like talk about way more on the podcast than we do on our social channels. I don't talk about my relationship a ton on my social channels, and faith I kind of feel like is lumped into those like relationship and like family categories that I kind of just want to keep personal. But I would totally do an episode on it because I feel the same way.
I think there's even just like for people who are listening who just aren't religious, there's just even like, how do I say this? There's the piece of just like stepping into something when you're not, you know, that like you might be the person in the room who knows the least, or like, and it is very uncomfortable to show up. And my friend and I always joke, it's like her line that she says all the time. She'll be like, it's clear like they're new to this, not true to this, or like, oh, like, she'll say like, oh yeah, like I met someone who like, it's very clear he like knows the word very well, like he was true to this, not new to this, like, and it's just like it's become a funny thing that we say, and so we've kind of like joked about that, but it can be very uncomfortable to be new to it in a space when you're in a room of people who are very much true to it, and so it's kind of like, but I think that goes for a lot of things too, a lot of things in life, whether it's your career, whether it's your relationships, your faith, your health, like going to the gym, like I think there's something to be said about just like when you feel called to it, just continuing to step towards it. Again, whether that's your workout routine that you're like, you know what, I'm going to the gym and I don't know what the freak I'm doing. I'm slinging around weights and I know that I probably look silly and there's these big bodybuilders around me, but I'm going to continue to step out in discomfort because I know that like I want to be doing this. I want to grow in this area. And so I think there's lessons too in all of that. But I hear you. I also am like, I don't think that I've always believed in God, but being like newer in taking my faith more seriously and actively trying to grow in that relationship, I think I'm not going to sit here and try to like teach people things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, babe. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can tell you what I read in my Bible last night or what I heard at Bible
Yeah.
study last week or church, but like, I'm not going to try to be like an educator. I think there's a difference between like spreading it and teaching it, but like, it is a part of my life and I don't want to feel like I'm like have to hide it, but I am like cautious, I guess, with like what I say. But that is a priority in Q3. So if there are also any faith-based girlies that also are working on that in Q3, feel free
Yeah.
to chat me up,
Let us
guys. Chat
know.
me up. Let us know.
Comment,
You know
let us
what I
know if you would
mean?
like to see an episode on that, like how we're going about it, how we're learning, all of those things.
Yeah.
But also let us know if you like these types of episodes. This one was much more just kind of like chatty, what we're working on, struggles we're going through clearly. So yeah, let us know if there's anything else you
Yes.
want us to talk about in an episode in Q3. But we have a lot of fun filming these episodes and we hope you enjoy them. You can leave us comments, questions, feedback on Spotify, or you can DM us on Instagram at The Life You Love Pod. We love hearing from you guys. But thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.